Every week I talk with new folks looking to get started in real estate, and there always seems to be the same challenges. Not enough time, not enough money. Some people are simply afraid of making a mistake and losing their shirt. Today I'll be breaking down all of these concerns and more. Hey House Stackers, welcome to episode 39 of the Stacking Houses podcast. And if you're new to the show, our mission here is to help working professionals create passive streams of income through real estate investing and help you get ahead through financial literacy. I'm your host, Damon Santamaria, and my goal for each show is to provide you with some practical and inspiring information so that you can create a solid financial plan for yourself. So to help you on your journey, I want to give you our beginner's guide to getting started in real estate, which outlines all of the key steps that investors need to take to acquire your first property. And you can pick this up simply by going to stackinghouses.com/beginner. And while you're there, you can also check out our new mastermind program that begins March 3rd. And this is a combination of the Stacking Houses online course along with 8 weeks of tailored coaching led by yours truly. And so if you're interested, go to stackinghouses.com and you'll see a tab at the top to get enrolled. But you don't want to miss out on this because I'm limiting it to only 10 students so that I can give you the most personalized experience possible. So check that out today. So let's jump in. I'm recording this February 1st, and it's hard to believe that it's already been a month since New Year's, and so I hope you're off to a great start this year. But I want to talk to you about what's holding you back from getting started in real estate investing. Or maybe you have a few properties under your belt and you just need to get that next, step in building your portfolio or just deal flow. So I know for many people listening, you have full-time jobs and real estate is your side hustle. And when I was working full-time, I basically pulled double duty on nights and weekends to do all the things needed to acquire that next property. And at times, I was figuring out where the next down payment was coming from. And at other times, it was really difficult to just find a property that made financial sense. It seemed like I was stuck in quicksand trying to pull myself forward when all of the forces were against me. And believe me, anything that could go wrong did. Plans would fall through, deals would be taken right underneath my nose, and then there was those big unplanned expenses that would come up, basically setting me back to square one. Just like that game Chutes and Ladders. Remember that game? Just as you were about to win, you would land on that square that would send you all the way back. Well, that's how many things are in life, just in general. But I wish I could go back and log how much time and effort it took me to close on just one deal. Of course, those first deals seem to be the hardest, where the later deals seem to close without any issue. And then, during that process over the years, I reached a point where something just seemed to click. Right? I developed a methodology to organize all of my financial documents in one folder, making it really easy to qualify for the next loan. The loan officers knew that my wife and I were acquiring, 3 to 4 properties a year, and they understood our strategy for building our portfolio. Then I began working with a real estate counselor that would send me a weekly list of new inventory that I could pick and choose from. And she knew exactly what I was looking for, all the parameters as far as location, price, the type of properties I was looking for, and then the estimated returns. And then I started working with the same property managers after I acquired those first deals. And I knew that they would take care of my properties because I would interview them and go through that questionnaire that I've customized, and you can see that on Stacking Houses Academy. But I basically went through a 10-step, 10-question process with each of my new property managers. And Was everything perfect? No. But over time, the little things that would keep me up at night only became a slight annoyance because I knew in the grand scheme of things, a month of bad cash flow was just that, a bad month, maybe one or two out of a full year. I also began working with the same insurance agents that I had already vetted, and it became a matter of simply emailing them every time I needed a quote, and typically they would have it back to me within an hour. You want to know why? Because they knew I was a serious investor that was closing deals. I wasn't just kicking tires, trying to nickel and dime every vendor for the best price. And so in this way, I had built out my team who was cheering me on because when I won, they too won. I also built out a master spreadsheet that had every number, every contact, every strategy, every deal I had ever done over the last 10 years, and I still use the same spreadsheet today. And as I systematized and standardized my processes, it became second nature to just close the next deal. So in full disclosure, I closed many of these properties 7, 8, 9 years ago, and it was different times back then in terms of price and the amount of inventory on the market. And I get it. Today, it's it's a bit more difficult to find the same deals as yesterday, but don't let that stop you. You may need to look at a few more properties to find the right one, but lean on your real estate agents for that. That's what they're there for. There are also turnkey providers that have a list of properties in various different markets throughout the United States. So why not choose one of these? And there's a bunch of turnkey providers. And if you want to connect with one, all you have to do is email me at damon@sackinghouses.com and I'll get you connected. But, if you have the right team in place, why would it matter where the property is located? Don't let this be a stumbling block in acquiring your first or your next deal. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking that your first deal needs to be right down the street so that you can go, drive by it and see it on the weekends. Well, I'm here to tell you that you don't. In fact, of the 28 properties that I've had, only 3 of them have been within an hour's drive of my primary house, my personal property. The other 25 have been out of state, and I pay a bit more for property management, but I also don't have to deal with the day-to-day issues that tenants sometimes cause. You can also self-manage your properties from a distance as well. There's so many different tools, and I start by creating that relationship with my tenants, and they have my cell phone number, they have my email. If something comes up, they just contact me, and we work out whatever that issue is together. Typically, it's a maintenance issue that, I can make a few phone calls. Half the time, the tenants know of vendors in the area. So it's not that big of a deal. And maybe this is not even the issue. Maybe it's saving up for the down payment. This is one of the biggest challenges that I see with newer investors. If you have to buy, if you buy a $150,000 house, you're most likely going to need to put at least 20% down plus closing costs. And it can be very difficult parting with $35,000. Again, I get it. But what else are you going to do with it? You're going to leave it in the bank earning close to 0%? No. Are you going to buy a mutual fund with maybe an 8% average return? No. You already have a 401k and a Roth IRA for those Wall Street investments. Besides, you want to make an average of 30% a year. You want to have your tenants pay down the debt on your property, and you want to have some incredible tax benefits for the next 27 and a half years. Why 27 and a half years, you ask? Well, because that's the depreciation schedule of a single family house. And if we can no longer take depreciation, it's time to sell it. But anyway, maybe you're afraid to lose money. Well, I'm also here to tell you that I've never lost any money on real estate, ever. Even the worst property I've ever bought, where the tenants trashed the house, where everything broke, a property that I couldn't sell for over a year still provided a return of 179% over a 9-year time frame, which if you average that out, it's almost 20% annually. This was my very worst property, and 90% of the time it wasn't any more work than any of my other properties. There had just been some hiccups that I had to deal with, as a result of being an inexperienced investor. But it made me a much better investor in the long run. So maybe your issue isn't that you're afraid of losing your shirt. Maybe it's not. Maybe you have plenty of money in the bank. Maybe your issue is time. And this is, one of the other big challenges as a full-time W-2 employee. I get that, but this really shouldn't be an excuse to not get started. If you spend 30 minutes a day, maybe an hour or two on the weekend, you could be in the game inside of 2 months. And speaking of time, what if you could retire just 5 years earlier because of real estate? Would that not make up for the time spent looking at deals and closing on your first couple of deals? And looking at deals, by the way, is the fun part. I love looking at properties online. I love looking at and calculating, my returns, etc. That's the fun part, But what if you could retire in the next 5 years? Would that be enough to get you excited about building your portfolio starting today? So don't let these minor concerns stop you from getting started. I promise you that it's all worth it in the end. So I hope this has sparked some motivation for you. I realize that breaking all of this down into bite-sized pieces would be easier. And because of that, I want to invite you to the mastermind that I've created, which starts March 3rd. And again, this is a combination of the Stacking Houses online curriculum, along with 8 weeks of coaching led by yours truly. Inside of the mastermind, you're going to have all of the tools and the guides and expert interviews needed to be able to close your first deal. So if you are interested, please go to stackinghouses.com and you'll see a tab at the top to enroll. But you're going to want to act now because I'm limiting this to only 10 students. And I think we already have 2 students already enrolled, so be sure to check that out today. So in closing, I would love to help get you on your path to financial freedom. And doing that, the only way I know to do that is to really acquire some prudent real estate investments. So please let me know how I can help you. Again, hit me up at damon@stackinghouses.com. And if you like what you heard today, I would appreciate a like, a share. Take a screenshot of this episode on the platform that you're listening to and text it to a friend, a family member. Give us a review because hopefully we can help out other aspiring house stackers. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I also want to give you our beginner's guide to getting started, which outlines all of the key steps that investors need to take to acquire your first, your second, your third property. And you can pick this up simply by going to stackinghouses.com/beginner. So check that out as well. And until next time, this is Damon with stackinghouses.com. Happy investing, my friends.